Well, good morning again. And with me is my old friend Simon.
Morning.
From Snowbee. Morning, Simon.
Hello, Charles.
And the dog, of course. And JT. The unholy trinity, really, or quadruplicity, or whatever it is. Simon is going to be introducing the new range of Snowbee stuff, which I think is JT's going to be far better equipped to describe it than I will. But it's just wonderful product. For those of you maybe entering the sport and taking you all the way through. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this microphone over to Jonathan Tomlinson and leave you with Simon and Snowbee.
Thank you very much, Charles. Good morning, Simon. How are you?
Good
nice
morning.
To see you.
Good, thank you. And we've got a beautiful day, haven't we?
It is. It's a little bit chilly. I won't lie. I was hoping it'd be a little bit warmer, but we're going through. So, what have you got to show me? What's the latest gear?
Well, we've got plenty of new things this year. We've had problems, obviously, with COVID.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, indeed, with deliveries and all sorts of things. It's been really frustrating, but actually this year we're having a very good year just now. And we brought out a new catalogue this year too. So we weren't able to print one last year, but we brought one out this year. And I think whilst we've got lots of new products, some of them haven't yet come through to the market. We're still frustrated with that, but at the same time, a lot of the older products are still very good. And products like this GeoVest, for example, it's been around for a long, long time now. I've been with the company 15 years. We introduced it when I started, and it's still going strong.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but I remember this time last year we were looking at the new range of Prestige graphene fly rods in particular, and we just brought out the saltwater range. And the rods in those days, at that time, were, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at hundreds of fish rising over here.
Always distracted.
There's lots of fish rising.
Ever the fisherman.
So I heard them first, to be honest, and you've got that, that hearing you've got, you can hear them flop miles away.
Certain pitch, yeah.
There's a number of things I can't hear. You can think what the obvious things are, but when you hear a fish plop, you hear it. Anyway, we just had the prototypes this time last year, and through the season last year we brought out the complete version, if you like, in 3 different weights, an 8 weight, a 7 weight, an 8 and a 10. And I'd like to start by offering you, if you like, the opportunity to have a cast of one of these. I'm not sure if you did.
I didn't know. No, I didn't get a chance last year. So
by all means have a cast of that. I put a saltwater line on here. It's got quite a long head, and throughout last year I actually went saltwater fishing a number of times. We spoke. Do you remember last year when I came to visit the shop and we were talking about different fly patterns and everything? Yeah. You showed me a chartreuse pattern that you quite like.
It ain't chartreuse, it ain't no use.
Exactly, yeah. I went out bass fishing last year and I never blanked on any occasion.
No, it's a great
So it was brilliant. I mean, I live in the southwest. It's, we're in God's country as far as bass fishing is concerned in that respect. But I only used the fly tool last year and I used this rod throughout, and I was delighted with it. And 2 patterns in particular, the one that you said to me about, which was a chartreuse sinking pattern, which is fished just underneath, and also I fished an awful lot with a straightforward booby, a big, large, minky booby, popped over the top. Sometimes you could pull it, you could roll it.
When they're in the mood, the bass love it on the surface. It can be some really exciting stuff, some great topwater action. So
absolutely. And I think in terms of the sport, that's one way where we're going forward as well. I mean, a lot of fishing today, it can be very expensive, very exclusive too. It's lovely if you can get to it, that's really nice. But at the same time, anybody can go and fish in the sea. We can go and fish off the coast. We've got to be careful of beach users and stuff like that, with other people around us, definitely. But when we've got the opportunity to go to the shore, it's such a great opportunity to go out there and actually attack it with a fly, if you like. And the fish themselves, we're stood here on the jetty, but the fish can be right in tight. You can be in the breakers.
They can indeed. Yeah, and obviously making sure you're safe and knowing what the tides are like and things like that.
Absolutely really right. Important. You've done quite a bit of it, haven't you? I think.
Done a fair amount. Fair amount. A lot out Dorset. A lot with my friend Glyn. We're lucky. We've got a boat, so it makes life an awful lot easier.
Yeah.
The fishing from shore is a bit more of a difficult game at times. But bass, mullet, really getting popular now, particularly mullet. So have these been designed specifically really for UK domestic salt?
Not
with a bit of bone fish as
well. Obviously with bone fishing. The 8 weight in particular for the bone fishing. I mean, I've done a little bit of that myself, not an awful lot of it, but I have done a bit of it myself. And I mean, I love it in Bahamas and places like that. And I know some friends have just come back from Cuba. They've had amazing fishing because there's not a lot of people been able to travel.
No, it's been left very much to its own devices over the last couple of years. And I think it'll probably have done some fisheries good.
I hope so.
The ones that have been heavily pressured.
Yeah.
But now everyone's gagging to get back out, get booked up, and get back out into the tropics. So.
Indeed. Well, I'd be comfortable taking this anywhere. We've also got a 10 weight in it, which for the bigger fish, it's extremely light.
Baby tarp and snook.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is with graphene, it's an incredibly light product. It's very strong, incredibly strong. It's claimed to be 200 times stronger than steel. So if you had a steel bar or a graphene bar, the graphene bar would be 200 times stronger than steel, which is
impressive
awesome.
stat.
Yeah. And the other thing it does is the molecules themselves always want to return to where they were. So when you've got these rods in particular have got a nice flex to them, which has always been important for me when competition fishing, to have a decent flex on the rod, because it's not just about hooking the fish, but it's about landing them as well. And in fact, I'll share with you that yesterday I was at Lechlade yesterday, and I was playing fish, and there was a guy there. He was using a 4-weight graphene rod because he said it's just perfect. I mean, he's landing fish of double figures on a 4-weight graphene rod, so that was his go-to rod of choice. And of course, he can fish very light. That's the other thing.
Yeah, good presentation as well.
We'll come on to light fishing earlier in a minute, but JT, have a cast with this.
Right, we'll move on up to the end of the platform.
Yep. The wind's picking up.
Is a wee bit, but that doesn't really hurt when you're looking at saltwater stuff. And the line that's on here, Simon, is just
it's an 8-weight floating line. Yeah. It's got a long head. It's got a 47-foot head on it.
Okay, so it's quite a long head then for a saltwater line.
So if you want to cast for distance, I also use sometimes quite a short head on a shooting head. Sometimes.
Yeah.
You make that look effortless.
Yeah, well, it is quite an easy, nice loading. Nice quick recovery.
Yeah, the recovery on it's great. I think one of the things that people will do with graphene is they'll actually overpower it.
You can definitely feel the strength in the bottom part of the rod.
Okay.
I can feel that when I'm casting.
Yeah.
It is cold today, that is for sure.
Cold. So it's one of those things. Here you go. Open it up. So this is the running line. Okay, so it's quite a small, fine running line, which we introduce now on more of our lines, which helps for distance casting, which we can come on to again in a moment.
Just a bit of reduced drag.
Now, as I was saying just now, what a lot of people do with the graphene is overpower the rod. Okay, and that's just shot that. That's gone a fair distance, but with graphene rods, many people, especially the guys, it's much easier sometimes. You've probably been doing it with tuition to teach a lady to fish.
Oh God, so much easier for many reasons.
Well, a lot of the guys, they just want to give it more power, you know. But with the graphene, you don't need to do that. The secret is in a good double haul, and just take your time with it. And it makes it effortless.
With the gents, it's a story that we come across all the time. If you use the golf analogy, that you stand behind a goal and think you're gonna. Behind the ball and think you're going to tear the skin off it, and it normally ends up on the ladies' tees and everybody's laughing at you.
Absolutely right.
But then you get the ladies that just like to let the rod and line do the work for them, and with very little effort. No, it is a long head, isn't it? But
it is.
Very stable.
Yep.
It's holding its shape quite well. But you can feel that crisp tip that's on this.
But the thing about when you say about the crisp tip, it's so good for when you actually play and fish. I mean, it's like yesterday. I fished with barbless flies yesterday, playing fish of double figures. I never lost anything yesterday.
To be honest, I mean the whole debate between barbed and barbless flies, I think it's kind of absolutely been dismissed now. I mean, I swapped to barbless flies for river stuff a very long time ago, and I think if anything, I probably land more fish because the penetration's better.
Absolutely,
and as long as you keep a tight line.
And I think the other thing as well, JT, is that people have put a bit more thought into the design of the hooks in barbless. I think that's a big benefit as well, especially on the rivers. But yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about this is this rod retails at just over £500. There is today an option for people coming out to take up the sport, and especially the opportunity to go and sea fishing. Let me just grab this a moment.
Yeah, I mean, price point wise, that's a really good price point.
What's that?
For price point wise, that's a really good price point for a saltwater rod.
It is indeed, but I have to say that we have a range of rods in our portfolio called the Classic, which you stock in the shop here in the various outfits, which come with a rod, the reel, the line already made up, and a bag for the rod too. And this retails for just over £150, so you can actually get out there, start saltwater fishing.
Fantastic value.
For as little as £200.
No, I mean, we've obviously with the last 2 years, there's been, particularly at the start of the pandemic, we were in the situation where there were very, very few things that you could still do, and fishing was one of them. You couldn't even golf at one point. So we found there's an awful lot of guys that have decided to give it a go for the first time, or they're coming back to it after a long layoff, you know, they've had kids and whatever else, but people suddenly were quite time rich.
Yes.
And the number of offerings of starter kits for money that was fantastic value for money has been superb. So to be able to pick something off the shelf and literally just add water has been a godsend. I mean, the numbers we've sold have been ridiculous.
Yeah.
People just want to come in, give it a go, and it's a very inexpensive way of getting into it. Whether you're going to love it or not, it's a great starting point. And I think back to what I first started with 20 odd years ago, and the quality now is fabulous.
It is, and in fact, the difference between some of the more expensive rods and some of the cheaper options that are out there on the marketplace is actually, I say small. There is a huge difference, obviously, but you need to be. I'm just watching that cast, fantastic, lovely. Yes, you need to be at the top end of your game, if you like, to be able to tell the difference between some of them. So,
well, I think as many of us have said over the, particularly over the last 5-10 years, there's no such thing as a bad rod.
Absolutely.
These days.
Yeah.
Even the very lowest entry level will do its job.
Yeah.
As you go up, obviously, it makes your life an awful lot easier and it's a lot more pleasurable to do. But it's like comparing a 20-pound driver to a 450-pound driver. It's got a bigger sweet spot. It does more of the work for you, and if you hit it right, it goes a lot further.
Indeed.
And it's the same with rods.
Yeah. Well, this is, as I say, this is a saltwater kit that we brought in for this last year. It's an 8-weight, same as what you've got there in a 9-foot version.
Perfect for bass.
And I've also got, in the classic range, just to move on from that, for anyone starting out, this would be the 9-foot 6-weight starter. And for most people, a 9-foot 6-weight is the ideal place to start. Whether you're going to fish for rivers, still waters, big still waters, or small ones.
Exactly. That's the first question we get asked when someone comes in. What's the perfect size to get started with? Well, 9 foot for a 6-weight, not too long, not too short, not too heavy, not too light. Great fun on a small still water and get you as far as you need. And if your mate says, "Oh, come on, JT, we've got days of river fishing for you," you can get away with it as well. So it's no such thing as an all-rounder, but 9 foot for a 6-weight, as close as you're possibly going to get.
Absolutely.
You'll still have to explain to the other half that you need several different rods, each for a specific use, but a great starting place at 9 foot for a 6.
And each for a different day. What I was also going to say is this 9-foot 6, what we've done on here, this is a classic fly line, which is a simple line for most people to cast. You've got a long head on there. A lot of people that can't double haul for a start when they begin fly fishing wouldn't necessarily be able to handle that line. They would indeed, yeah. With this, however, 35 feet, it's much easier to do.
Lovely.
And it's a great starting point. But what we've done over the last couple of years is we've moved on now in the last 18 months with lockdown and so on. We had to unfortunately close our factory, which was a real frustration. But at the same time, we took the decision to look at the whole range of fly lines in the Snowbee range. The XS fly lines, the classic fly lines, and the XS Plus. And Russell, the MD, said to us, he said, let's revise everything. While we're being forced to make a change, let's see what we can do to try and improve our range and improve the fly lines themselves. So we'd actually, by this time, we'd already introduced the Thistledown Fly Line, and that's what I'd like to cover next, John, with you. Is the Thistledown Fly Line was something that came in a couple of years ago, and I know we've said it before, but we call it the line that makes you smile with every cast, because anyone that picks the line up, yesterday especially, I mean, there were guys there that had never heard of Thistledown, let alone seen it, and they put it on a cast and they just turn around and just smile to each other. It does the same for everybody, to be fair. They're quite a short head, they're 35-foot head on them. The line itself is 90 feet on the 2.5 and the 5.7, and we've got a shorter version in a 1-4, which we can finish up with at the end if you like. But those multiple weights do actually work. So whether you've got a 5, 6 or 7 weight rod, the 5 to 7 will cast on all of them. The 2 to 5, 2, 3, 4 or 5 weight rods, the 2 to 5 will cast on all of them and cast perfectly as well. Reasons being, it's quite a thin running line, it's quite a thin line itself. We also introduced some years ago the high float ability, if you like, of fly lines. Probably going back about 8 years ago, we introduced a new compound into the mix that actually helped the lines float a little bit higher, which meant we could go a little bit thinner on the fly line itself. So on a day like today, John, when we're casting across the breeze, it will cut through. So I'll just go and pick that up. If you want to wrap that up, I'll go and pick up that one and we'll have a look at it.
While you're doing that, I'll just have one more throw before I wind in. One thing I particularly like about this rod is it loves a nice good stop, because it's got such fast recovery. I mean, that would have probably gone another 20 or 30 feet had it had the line off. But good hard stop on this rod, and the recovery just really booms that line out. not having to hit it particularly hard, but just to find that stop.
You're going to be winding for a few seconds there
Just
as
a wee-
well.
just a wee
You
bit.
don't realise how far you put it out sometimes, do you?
Keep fit anyway. I'll just run that straight through. Alrighty ho.
Right, what we've got here, this is the same classic fly rod that we had in the box just now. It's the 9'6" weight, and just got it twisted at the end there. Breeze playing up a little bit. There we are. It's okay. So this is with the Thistledown 2 to 5 weight on here. John, let me pass it over to you.
Rightio, so we've got...
So it's a 2-tone fly line.
Yep.
The change here is just at this point. We can give it a little stretch if we want to, because the line does have a little stretch. All the fly lines have a little stretch, and I think that's really, really important with a fly line, to have enough stretch in there that when you're actually playing a fish, it doesn't kick off. Because I've been there before now in matches and so on, when fishing with barbless hooks, as we often do it in a competition or whatever, you put a line out there that's got no give in it, no stretch at all, and you're bouncing fish off, especially on a fast action rod, which a lot of people like to use. So, as I say, the Prestige rods have got a bit of give in them, but they've still got that tip recovery. So this one now, this is a 2 to 5 weight, okay?
And we're on a 5'6".
Yeah. So this is something that's really light now to be able to fish, but this is on the Classic itself. So you've got a kit here, it's a little bit more if you add the line to it. The lines themselves retail at $64.99 today as a twin colour fly line.
I'm a massive fan of a twin colour fly line. It's particularly when you're getting started as well. Just
It helps you show the loading point, doesn't
it just makes them, for want of a better description, makes them a little bit more idiot proof. You know that when that colour change gets to about the end of the rod, that's your optimum loading point. Let it go. You know, getting back to like men hitting like, you know, the cast too hard and not listening.
Yeah.
Knowing that you once you've got to that spot, let it go. You spend a lot less time casting and a lot more time fishing. And
Indeed.
you know, it's a typical thing with men is if we want to try and cast 60 feet, we want to aerialise 59.5 feet in the air and shoot 6 inches. The whole point is you pick up the head and shoot the rest. So you will spend less time casting, more time fishing. You know, law of averages, should catch more fish the longer your fly's in the water. So
we'll come on to that again in a moment, because the new XS fly line has got a 42.5 foot head. Okay. So we're moving on from here. This is the Thistledown. This would be, you could use this on a river or a small still water. This would be really light outfit, okay? And it will cast across the wind if you want it to. It'll cut straight through. So you're having no problems there casting it. There you go. And you can put it into the wind as well, because there you go. I've got one made up on a 5 to 7 for you to try in a moment as well, which we can look at, which is obviously for a still water like this, and on a day like today it'll be more suitable.
Turning that over, no problem at all.
All right, but that's for fishing delicate stuff and mainly on a river, for example. So the 2 to 5 weight. What we're saying just now about the amount of time spent fishing, a lot of people think, I saw a program last night on television, there was a couple of ladies casting, I think it was a recorded program, they were casting in a river somewhere in Scotland, and they're putting a line out, if you like, but most people think that fly casting or fly fishing is about lots of casts, lots of false casts and so on. It's about fishing at the end of the day. And if you can reduce the number of casts or dry casts you're making, if you like, then you're going to spend more time fishing, as you said just now.
Absolutely. I mean, we've known each other a very long time, Simon. You know, when it comes to casting, I'm one of the laziest casters out there. I do as little as physically possible to get it where I want it to be. And if I can do it in one false cast rather than 5, I will. Okay,
well, let me try you on something else here.
That was a nice little segue between one and t'other. I wasn't even trying for that one. This is just very, very easy line to cast, this one. So what have we got here then, Simon?
What I've got here is I've gone back to the Prestige range, which is a graphene material. I'll just show you a couple of things on here as well, which has we've put on here the Spector Reel. So this is the Spector Reel. The Spector comes in different colours. It can come in black, it comes with or without a cassette. This is actually the cassette version, so you can actually put lots of different spools on if you want to, and people that are going to fish in still water that want to fish at different depths of water, it's much easier to take different spools. But what we've also done is the spool on here, let me just take this off a second, take a little bit of line out for a second. This is a cassette version here, And I'm going to remove the cassette quickly. That's all right, I've got that. And to remove the cassette, a lot of people often ask, what do we have to do? Because they've got the cassette stuck on the reel. People will pull that. You can pull it as hard as you like. It's not going to come off. However, if you just push the centre, it comes off as easy as anything. There's a couple of little lugs in here. They pop onto here. They lock into this part on the reel. Twist it and lock it, and it's then in position. Okay, so it's easy. So you can take lots of these cassettes with you. You only need the one reel, and it's really quick and easy to change at the same time. So if you want to go down a little bit deeper, you know, on days when it gets tough,
change your
like
line
sunlight
nice
today, the fish are going to go down a little bit, then you can change it very easily. Okay, and then just to lock it up on there.
I'm a massive fan of cassette reels. I have been back to when I first started my competition days with the old LC80 from Leader.
Yeah, long time
yeah,
ago.
yeah, and I think I can remember I had about 20 spare spools with
Yeah.
every line from every manufacturer at the time. So yeah, it's just if you're carrying multiple lines, a cassette reel is just, it's a great place to be for value for money.
Absolutely.
Because you want 10, 15 pounds for a spare spool as opposed to more than half of the cost of a normal reel for
These
a
balls
solid
today are
spool.
£9, John. So.
Perfect.
What I would say as well is over the years we've actually looked at it, because I've done a lot of competition fishing over the last 25 years, whatever, but the actual cassettes on here are also compatible with the other reels in our range as well.
Okay.
So if you want to go from the Spector to a slightly more budget option, if you like, of the Onyx, for example, you can use the same spools. If you've got an Onyx and you want to trade up to a Spector,
Then you
you can do exactly the same thing as well. And from a retailer's perspective, you've only got to carry one type of spool, so to cover all the different ranges. So these are available in black, silver, and more recently in a gold, which is what we call the Prestige Gold. So, and that's what I've got on one of the other rods actually. But John, have a look at this, because this is the new XS Fly Line.
Okay,
we brought
yep.
out. It's slicker than we've ever had before.
Change the coatings, I understand.
We've improved the coating, yeah. If you look at it, I mean, if you want to, it's very supple. We've always had supple fly lines.
Always had nice supple fly lines.
And you can probably feel the smoothness of that line
Yep.
today. When we looked at redesigning them, we didn't want to change the profile because we know the profile is excellent. We said, well, is there anything we can do to improve it?
It works.
What we've done, I mean, having done quite a bit of saltwater fishing, as we started with just now, when you go temperature, what you said just now, the line was quite stiff, didn't you? Saltwater lines are stiffer because when you go to go from a temperate zone to a tropical zone, they start to get a bit soft and tacky, don't they? If you're not careful.
Like
so you
a
have
piece of cooked spaghetti.
Exactly right. But if you want a piece of raw spaghetti, it'll cast like anything because it will go through the rod rings and so on. If cooked spaghetti won't go through the rod rings. So we've actually gone up a grade in coating and finish. So they're a fraction stiffer than what they were. Just one grade. We looked at the different options. We said, is it worth it? Yes. And we decided to do it. And I think you'll find in a moment the actual benefit in terms of slick lines and slick casting are amazing.
So for guys that aren't maybe necessarily familiar with this profile of fly line, I know you said you kept it the same.
Yes.
So just tell me about the profile length.
Okay, well, we've got a fairly short front taper, okay? Then you go into the head itself, and then you've got like a 7-foot back taper on there. So your total head length is 42.5 feet.
So you can overhang quite a bit without, because you've got like long rear taper at sort of 7 foot, you can overhang.
You can overhang a bit.
Yep.
But you've got, what we've done on our distance line, which is the one I've got on the other rod there, is extended that further still.
Okay.
So we've got an 8-foot back taper on there. You're going to put all that line out, John. And what you can do, if you just put the head out through the tip, I know that it will cast the full fly line with one false cast. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
That's we've just gone to the end and a little bit. I'll just wind that in so it doesn't.
Yeah.
Dacron's a swine for wanting to tangle itself given any opportunity.
I've also, I will cover it in a moment, but I've actually put one of these casting trays on today as well, because we'll have a look at it in a second.
Well, you know what fly lines are like. If there's anything that they can.
One false cast, and the whole lot's gone.
That's
the whole lot, everything.
There's our backing knot just there.
Okay, so there's the benefit, if you like, of a new fly line. It's slick, it's got the right profile, and that's an improvement we've made as a result of COVID, which is, it's an achievement, if you like. The frustration has been actually getting the lines made and getting all the equipment moved to the new factory.
Getting to where they need to be.
Yeah, so one false cast.
There's one, and still going.
More time spent fishing, John.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is the 9.5 foot Prestige, so it's a bit of a power rod, if you like. It's not the 10-foot option which you might take on a boat. Okay,
No, great
which
for
is
still
more
waters. Great for the still waters.
Yep.
No, it was always my sort of go-to when I was younger. 9.5 foot for a 7 from the bank.
Yeah.
And then the 10 foot for a 7 for a boat.
Absolutely. Yeah. You really don't need any more than that. These fly lines, they're retailing at $54.99.
Great bang for your buck.
It's called the XS. We've got them available in floating. We're doing a high-vis floating as well. We've got a new line, which is actually XS Plus. That's a hover line, which is a very slow sinking option. And we've got a buzzer tip, which has got 3 to 4 feet front section on 1.5 inches per second. And then we've got a 10-foot option we've introduced this year as well. Okay.
So yeah, plenty of variety and of different lines available now this year. Then.
And sorry, I should have said that in the single colour, by the way, we've got 2 floating lines, an intermediate and a fast sink option as well. At the moment, we're still waiting for the intermediate and fast sink to come into stock, but we've got the others. So you've got there the 9.5 foot. That's with the standard XS. What I'm going to go and get for you now quickly is the distance version, which is our Spector. Okay.
Perfect. Well, that's certainly a very easy line to cast. It's the only issue when you have lots and lots of line lying around. Fly lines, just if they can tangle on anything, catch at anything, they will. Particularly with this wind behind us, makes life a little bit more difficult, but certainly came out nice and easy with this new coating. So, one more to try. Just wind this in, it'll take a wee bit of time. Certainly keep me fit.
Just while John's winding that in, I was saying just now, it's really useful to have a line tray like this. Where I was fishing yesterday, there was quite a lot of gravel on the little platforms that they had for casting, and with these new thinner profile lines, if you like, it's very easy to get a stud onto the line, and especially on stones and so on, and damage it if you're not careful. So they're not expensive. This is a real godsend, if you like, especially on stony ground, and also if you're in a river sometimes as well, or on the river bank where you've got lots of vegetation, and that at the edge of the lake or the river just keeps the line out of the way, and it keeps it clean, because you want to look after your lines. They cost a lot of money, so it's worthwhile looking after them, and this is a good investment.
Yeah, keeping lines clean and looking after them is something that I'm a massive advocate of, and the number of people that come in and they say, I think my line's a bit knackered, and you say, well, let's have a look at it. You say, when did you last clean it? Clean it? What do you mean clean it?
What's cleaning it?
You know, when did you last clean your car? Well, I clean my car every week on a Sunday. Well, it's in good condition. Well, your fly line isn't going to be in good condition because you don't clean it at all.
Yeah.
You know, those coatings just take all that dirt and grime to get stuck inside of it. And are these pretty true to their weighting as far as a...
Yes, John, indeed. The XS lines are absolutely spot on for their weighting. Although, to be fair, the AFTMA weighting thing is a thing of the past in some respects. The first 30 foot of a fly line, and when you've already got 30 feet out there now before you start full casting. So the head on this one is 47 feet, okay? So, and the weight of it is designed to fish with modern rods. So it is the top end of, you've got a 7-weight line on there, and it's the top end of a 7-weight, okay?
So that was just simply picking up the head there.
Yeah.
One pick up and throw.
So, I mean, as you were casting that XS line just now, you're not going to want to cast a lot further than that, really, to be quite honest.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice and easy. Yeah, that's quite impressive from the rod as well. That's 47-ish foot straight off the water.
And you're on a 10-foot rod there. You're not on a 9, John,
rod.
so it's a little bit slower in terms of action.
So, again, trying to pick up a long amount of line is don't rip it off the water. You've got this big fat fly line that's just, the surface tension's grabbing it like the proverbial to a blanket. So
indeed, yeah.
Get it going slowly. Lift it till it's almost off the water. Then accelerate, and then just nice and easy.
Fabulous.
Out it goes.
That's almost on the bank. I mean, that line itself is 120 foot long.
And there's not much left of it there.
Absolutely. A normal fly line's 90 feet, so you're somewhere 10, 20 feet past that easily.
And that was one pickup.
Absolutely.
I'm not aerialising, extending. That's very impressive.
What I would say is with the Prestige, it's, as you said just now, if you pulled it too quickly or loaded it too quickly...
Oh, she won't like it, I'm sure.
It doesn't like it,
no.
But if you take your time, you can fish with it all day, and that's what fishing's all about.
But it's the same sort of standard technique. Whatever you're casting, whatever distance of line you're trying to pull up, if you rip that off the surface, you can see you're shocking that rod. It's not absorbing that energy. But if you take it nice and slow and get the line moving, you're loading it all the way through. And it makes so easy your life when you're only pulling 2 or 3 feet of line off the water, rather than trying to hoik that whole lot off. Just get it moving first, clear it off the water. You know, it's a bit like the old salmon cast. You get the line cleared first to make it easy, and away she goes.
You make it look effortless, John.
It's very easy, to be honest, Simon. It's a lovely line. Lovely line.
Well, on the strength of the line, on that subject, we've got 4 different options in this line, okay? And this is the floating option. They all come with the same running line. It's a floating running line, I would add that. There's also then, we're doing a sink tip.
Okay, length of the sink tip?
10 feet.
Okay.
And it's 2 inches per second. John, that's all gone. That's just gone out there.
Yeah.
That's excellent. We're also doing an intermediate, also 2 inches per second, and we're doing a fast sink option as well. That's 5 or 6 inches per second. So all those 3 lines all come under the Spector brand, okay? And in terms of distance and casting, they're effortless to use.
They're very easy.
Providing you can do a decent cast. You know, you need to be able to double haul to get that full head out there, as you said just now, to be able to carry and aerialise that full amount of head.
Let's try and see what we can do without any hauling at all. Right.
There you go. Is that good enough?
Didn't move that one. That was purely rod hand.
Superb,
and that's
yeah.
the same amount as I was doing, obviously with a little less line speed because I wasn't pulling that haul in.
Yeah.
But still, just keep a nice tight line, make sure it straightens behind you, smooth stroke, make a stop, away she goes.
You know the biggest problem you've got now? If a fish takes that, is actually
it's hooking that distance, yeah, absolutely.
I've found myself, you've almost got to point the rod at the fish now at long range.
Almost strip strike.
Exactly, almost strip strike, yeah.
No, it's very, very impressive new line, Simon. I like that. I like the coating. It's very easy to cast. I think we've got one more thing to look at, Simon.
Sorry?
Have we got anything else to look at, or are we?
We've got
The goodies just keep coming.
I want to cover a couple of things. We're fishing a 10-foot 7 weight there. A lot of people today want to go a little bit lighter. We're talking single-handed rods.
Yep.
I've got a 10-foot 6 weight here, right, which I'd like you to pop out there quickly. This is with the Thistledown Fly Line. So this is the 5 to 7 version of
Okay, so the next size up. So,
just want to pull out the tip?
yeah.
John?
So based on the same sort of concept as the lighter version then.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. So this is the 5 to 7 Thistledown on a 6 weight rod.
So great for dry fly, lighter buzzer fishing, nymphing.
Perfect, yeah. It feels extremely light in the hand
It
initially,
does, to start with.
compared to what you've just been using.
And then obviously the
especially.
weight comes in.
It does, yeah.
Again, 2-tone fly line, so nice and easy to see where you are on the loading point. That's just screaming out to go further.
Now this will cast across the wind. There was a competition a couple of years ago and we actually had a force 9 gale in that day, and I used this line in that competition because we had to fish really light. We were down on 4-pound tippet because it was gin clear water like you've got here, small flies, light tackle, and some of the guys were fishing 9 weights because it was so windy. That was their option. That's all they had.
But then you've got that thickness and mass trying to cut
Indeed.
through the air.
And you also had really thick leader, because if you had anything thinner, it was going to break off because there was no give in the rod. When the fish took on 4-pound leader, you couldn't manage it. So
not,
we're fishing
not a lot
6,
of wiggle
7 pound.
room.
So what we've introduced since then as well is we put in 2 new line spools here. This was fluorocarbon, and you can tell the different colour options that are on here. So they're each one's individual. And then we've also brought in a new copolymer as well. And one other thing which I've introduced this last couple of years, which is on the end of this one now, if you want to bring that in a second, is we have a tapered leader, okay, which is one of these. Oops. It's what we call a Camo tapered leader. It comes in one of these packs like this. And what we have is, where's the end of it? There we go. Okay, this is if you want to try that for stretch, just noticed here, bit of a tab on there. Okay, what this does, John, is you can fish nice and light. So this is a 6 weight, it's got loads of stretch in it, okay? I always use this on the rivers. We've also introduced, you've got the knotted French leaders, haven't you? This is taped with the same material. It's got loads of stretch, so it's got lots of forgiveness. You can fish down as really fine as you want to, really, and it means that you can do more delicate presentation. You want to fish a 5 or 6 weight, you can get away with it if you put something like that on. And then I put one of these little 2mm rings on. It's a bit of a faff to tie them on, but I put one on there so it doesn't matter. This is fluorocarbon on here. The actual, do you want to have a look at that? Okay. This material is copolymer. You can't tie copolymer to fluorocarbon. Usually one cuts through the other generally. So I put that in between, and then it helps it to join the two together. And then you can put whatever extension on that you want to do
just
as well.
make the leader that little bit longer.
And if you like, just to finish, I'll show you a very quick knot that I use, if we can see it on here. Oop. If I've got that, imagine this is the little loop, the little ring that you've got on there. You want a decent knot to it, and also, I mean, I use this for buzzer fishing. You know how you get big knots, so you don't want a big knot on a dry fly or anything else. So this is the knot that I use to put those loops on with, and whether I'm fishing copolymer or fluorocarbon, I can put this on as a small knot. So if I just show you this quickly, I don't know if you can see it against the jacket there. I put it through, I put a twist in it, and then I put the tag end through there 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I can then let go of the loop. I can let it go. Tightens down on itself like that. And I can slide it down, and it's really, really neat knot. Okay. I would wet it as I slid it down on fluorocarbon or mono. Some people call it a uni knot. I call it a JB knot. It's the same sort of knot, both of them. And whether I'm tying on flies or whether I'm tying on something like that, it's extremely efficient.
Same knot
and very
I've used
small.
for a very, very long time.
There you go.
The days of using a blood knot went out the window for me probably 20 years ago when I first discovered that, known as the grinner, now known by most as the uni knot.
Yeah.
For any material, it's a great butting knot, doesn't slip, and it's a great tip, Simon. It's been really great to see all the new products. I'm really looking forward to giving the new tippet material a go, actually.
Yeah.
But the line's very impressed. Coatings are great. Worked lovely with the rods, particularly the salt water really did fly out there for me. But yeah, it's been great to catch up. Look at the new stuff.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable.
Yeah.
I hope you guys have enjoyed that. We've got loads more live content coming up, so stay tuned, and we'll see you.